Hi there, my name is Tara and I am a full-time reseller and business owner. My business name is Leftover Luxe, and basically what I do is I'm a reseller, so I source new and gently used inventory from places like thrift stores, and then I turn around and sell them on platforms for profit. So the two platforms that I typically use are Mercari and Poshmark. And today I want to talk to you more about Poshmark and some of the tips that you should be thinking about and doing if you want to make this a full-time job or even just a side hustle gig. So if that sounds good, just keep watching. My first tip is so important, and I think a lot of people make this mistake or they overlook this when they first start out. So I definitely want to go over this one. And that is to be very mindful of what you are sourcing from the very beginning. You should be thinking about what is your brand, what are you sourcing, what are you going to specialize in, what's going to make you different and make people want to come to your closet to see what you have. And a lot of people, when they first start out, they may just buy anything and everything, and I totally get that. But that's can be hard, and you can end up with a lot of stuff you can't sell and don't want. So I highly recommend that you be strategic in thinking about what you're going to sell, and also what do you have access to. So just because maybe you live in a small town and you say, I don't have access to designer things, there's nothing like that around my town, and that could be true, absolutely. But maybe you need to be sourcing something that you have access to that maybe other people don't. So maybe you're gonna source a lot of athletic wear. Maybe you live by a beach and you have tons of access to all the swimwear and vacation wear that other people don't. So someone always has an advantage, I promise. And you just need to capitalize on where you live and what you have access to. So that's my number one tip. Be mindful first and foremost about what you are selling and what your brand is, because that's so important, and you want to source quality items that you can actually sell. Okay, so my next tip is an important one, but I don't think you're gonna like it, and that is you've got to do the work. You've got to put in the energy and the time. You've got to clean, you've got to steam, you've got to do the descriptions. Descriptions are huge, you guys. I can't stress it enough. So my whole system that I have is when I have inventory come in, when I have sourced something, the first thing I do with that piece of inventory is I'm gonna go through it, I'm gonna look at every angle of that piece to see if I can find any flaw at all. And if I do, I'm gonna notate that in my spreadsheet. I have my spreadsheet, I have its little description area, I have the item, I'm gonna list the size, the designer, and the measurements. I'm gonna take the time to measure. I'm gonna do pit to pit, length, width, you name it. I'm gonna do it. I'm going to obviously notate any kind of flaw that I'm finding. And also I'm going to notate, is it machine washable? What is it made of? What kind of material? If I'm lucky enough, and I love when this happens, if there's a style number, I'm definitely gonna be notating that. Just anything I can see about the piece, I'm gonna write about it, I'm gonna make a cute little description, and I'm gonna put in that work, because guess what? If I do that, I'm putting in the work ahead of time, and I'm saving myself so much grief and headache down the road. Because before, when I first started doing this, I wouldn't do a big heavy description. And I found a lot of times that potential buyers would have questions, and it was usually about measurements. So when that would happen, I would have to go back to my inventory bins, find the item, pull the item out of the bag, answer whatever question it was, probably measurements, and then answer that person, put it back, all of that stuff. And a lot of times that potential buyer wouldn't end up buying the piece, which is extremely frustrating. I know if that's happened to you, you absolutely get it. So if you do a great description, you're going to save yourself a lot of hassle, and buyers will have their answers, their questions answered. So you're not going to have to take the time to answer them. All the information is already there for them. They can just check out the description, and if it's something they want, they can buy it. It's easy, as simple as that. So that's my next tip. I know it kind of sucks, but it's so important. Just put in the work, guys. You'll be happy you did in the long run. My next tip is something that is really important as well, and something I made a few mistakes with this in the beginning, and I think it's really, really crucial to stay on top of this, and that is to keep your overhead as low as possible. And when I say overhead, I mean basically your cost of goods. In the beginning of this, my experience as a reseller, I would go to different thrift stores and find something I thought was really cute and think, wow, that's pretty cheap. And yeah, compared to retail prices, it was cheap. But if you're looking at something that you're trying to resell on Poshmark or Mercari, you want your initial investment, what you've paid for this item, to be as absolutely low as possible. First of all, because obviously it's going to give you the highest return on investment. But second of all, it gives you negotiation power with your potential buyer. On Poshmark, it's pretty common to have a back and forth or have offers from buyers, potential buyers. That's kind of part of the excitement, I guess, of the app. And Mercari does that as well. So if you are buying something at a very high level, you've automatically set yourself up for just less profitability and not maybe missing a sale, quite honestly. So, let me give you an example really fast of this. So when I first started out, I went to a thrift store, a local thrift store here where I live, and I found a Via Spiga beautiful jacket, and this was in September. And this thing was gorgeous. It had real rabbit fur on the collar in really good condition, and it was $15, I believe. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'll sell this, absolutely. I'll probably sell it in the 60s. It'll be a great great return on my investment. So it's now February, and I couldn't sell the thing. I don't know why. It was gorgeous. I would have kept it for myself, but I was so frustrated. And one of the things I was frustrated about was that I spent $15 on that thing. So I had to carry that 15, from September until now, until February. And that may not sound like a lot. It's not, but if you have all of your pieces of inventory are that much, you're carrying a lot of investment, and you're not sure if you're even going to get it back. And the moral of the story is that when I did finally sell it, it was bare bones offer. She offered me $22 is what I finally sold it for. And that was far less than I thought I would get for it, but I was willing to finally make the sale because I just wanted it out of my closet. But I ended up only making very, very little after Poshmark fees. So, had I found a similar jacket of that caliber for a much lower price, 22 can actually be a really great sale. So be thinking about what you can source for a low amount. What do you have access to that you can source for very low initial investment? Get creative. I mean, I know there's obviously a Goodwill outlet. I don't personally have that where I live. I wish I did. It's so cool. So, people get things for 15 cents. I don't have that luxury. But my Goodwill, they do dollar days every Monday. So a certain color tag will be only $1. So, if I'm sourcing things for $1 and I sell it for 22 on Poshmark, I'm making a pretty good profit. That's good enough. I mean, that's a good profit. If I'm sourcing things for 15, I'm not making much. It's not worth it after the cleaning and the steaming and the description and the, photographing and all of that. I mean, think about the time and energy you're putting into this. It needs to be worth it for you in the long run if you are trying to make this a true business model. Okay, so that's that tip. My next tip, it's kind of silly, but it's not. The tip is to be strategic in what you are naming yourself on Poshmark. What is your closet name? There are so many people I see on Poshmark that I think maybe they started off, they didn't take it seriously and it wasn't going to be a business for them. But now they're trying to be an ambassador or like a reseller, and it's an unprofessional name, or maybe they have a name that no one will remember. And that's really unfortunate. If you're trying to really brand yourself and make this a full-time business, you need to have a brand, you need to have a name that people can remember and pronounce, and that it represents the vibe and the, you know, your brand. It needs to, the name needs to represent what you are selling. So that's my next tip. Make it professional, make it a name that can carry through maybe to a website, to YouTube, you know, to Instagram, everything. Make it cohesive, because that will look much more professional than Sarah 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. It's just not, guys, no, that's not good. Don't do that. Just don't do it. Okay, my final tip, it kind of goes along with the descriptions of putting into work, but I would say when it comes to inventory and storing your inventory, you need to find you should be having a spot in your house that is dedicated specifically to your inventory. I personally keep my inventory in large clear bins, and all of the bins are they are numbered or lettered. And so I know on my spreadsheet, I know exactly where every piece of clothing, every item in my closet is at any given time. It's very organized. I package everything in my clear packaging. It's totally done. So when I make a sale, I know exactly where to go. I'm gonna go to that bin, I'm gonna pull that bag out, I'm gonna drop it in the mail, and then I'm gonna get paid. Make it really easy for myself. So, you know, keep that in mind. Organization is key in this business, especially if you're going to have, you know, like me, I have almost 500 active listings right now. That's a lot. I need to be organized. If I'm trying to make this a true business, you wouldn't just have your business items laying all over your closet, not knowing where things were. So keep it organized, keep it professional, and hopefully you can take a few things from my tips and tricks. I know I've definitely made some mistakes in the past, so hopefully you can learn from me and not have to make those same mistakes. So yeah, and if you are a full-time reseller or trying to do this or trying to start, you know, a side hustle business, I wish you nothing but success. I think that on Poshmark, you know, it's a positive place and there's enough to go around for everyone. We can all be successful, and I think it's great to just help each other. Let's create a community where we can share our tips and tricks and our mistakes so that we can all be successful in this game, because it's such a great way to make extra money and do something you really love to do. So that's all I have for you today. I thank you so much for watching, and please go check out my closet. I have so many great things, and if you find something that you would like, I would be very happy to work with you and on an offer or something like that. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.